So Dar al-Kalima University, and I know Dar al-Kalima, doesn't sound like American, and people ask, what is that? It's an Arabic word that means the house of the word. The word. Now, when you hear the word, you think of what? Okay, what is in the Bible about the word? Right, Jesus is called the Word, right? In John 1, the Word became flesh. And that was where? Where? In Bethlehem. Not Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, just to be right. Because some people think it was Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I tell you, no, it was Bethlehem, Palestine. Okay. So that is where the Word became flesh. But guess what? Even in the Quran, Jesus is called what? The Word of God. And so this al-Kalima, which is used also in the Quran, actually has this already interfaith aspect in it. And it is related to Bethlehem because this is where it's all took place. And Dar al-Kalima is the first and only university in all of Palestine with a focus on arts, culture, and design. This is basically what we do. Now, believe it or not, we have in Palestine 49 different colleges, liberal colleges, and universities. I mean, we are a nation, what, of 5 million in the West Bank, in Gaza, and yet 49 different colleges and universities. Palestinians were known to be one of the most well-educated people in the entire Middle East. But none of these colleges and universities had a focus on arts, culture, and design. And so this is the niche that we found where we really wanted to make a difference. And so this is what we do. But let me start with the context, because, a university in Palestine is different than running a university here in Charlotte, like Queens or something. And I would like to start with Gaza because this is what is on our minds all the time. This is what we hear in the news, day and night. And the genocide that is actually taking place there. Actually, with all the news that we are getting from Gaza, we don't get the full picture. Why? Because Israel keep assassinating one journalist after the other. So far, over 270 journalists were actually assassinated by Israel. So just to make sure that the story will not get out. Now imagine once this is over, the images that will come out of Gaza will be something you never, ever saw, except in Apocalypse Now. You know the film? This is exactly how Gaza will be looking like when all the picture, the full picture, will be revealed. And for me, when I hear about Gaza, I don't hear just from the news because we have in Gaza. In fact, we have 36 staff people in Gaza right now. The director of our campus in Gaza, a young, creative Palestinian female artist, she was able to get out of Gaza, but all the rest of our staff are still there. And so when you hear about starvation in Gaza, which is being weaponized by Israel, I hear it from our staff firsthand. Imagine for 2 years, they didn't have meat or chicken or even eggs. One egg, now the price of one egg is $7. Can you believe it? And this is in a context where 100% of the people are unemployed for 2 years. So imagine, even those who were well-to-do, they already spent all the money they have. Clean water. They don't have access to clean water. Imagine not being able to shower for 2 years. You just go into the Mediterranean, have a bath there, and that's it. With all the salt, you cannot actually clean. So that is what I hear all the time from our staff in Gaza. And in these almost 2 years, October 7th is coming, it will be 2 years exactly. Israel has destroyed all 14 universities that existed in Gaza. I mean, entirely demolished, bombed, including our own campus there. We had a campus in Gaza until March of 24. Actually, it was during Holy Week that Israel bombed our campus in Gaza, and it is no more there. But it's not only actually the universities. Over 80% of the schools have been demolished by Israel. Now, is this a recipe for peace? What will happen with these kids who were not able to get education for 2 years? And like you can see in this picture, Gaza before and Gaza after, you can see Gaza actually is erasing everything. Like how you saw carpet, leveling. And it's not only the buildings, it's not only the stones, actually it's our culture. We have actually many cultural monuments in Gaza. The first Christian monastery was founded in Gaza in the 4th century by Saint Hilarion. And we still had that place. Now it doesn't exist anymore. So one of the oldest churches in the world, the Greek Orthodox Church, was targeted by Israel. And actually this morning, Israel bombed the Greek Orthodox school in Gaza. This is now for the second time. So it's really our culture that Israel wants to erase. It's our history. This is what's happening. And as a university that is committed to culture, we resist that because we want to keep celebrating our history and our culture. So this is our campus, how it looks now, rubble actually. Our staff are scattered all over. All of them actually lost their homes. It's not only our campus that was demolished. They lost all their homes, so they are now actually displaced, living in tents in 7 different counties in Gaza. But what maybe many people don't know is that there is also a Palestinian Christian community existing in Gaza. This used to be a thriving community. These were mainly business people because, these are like the native Palestinians who have been living there for 2,000 years, their families. So they owned land, they had good businesses. Now all of them, when when October 7th happened, they went to seek refuge in the churches. There are 3 churches in Gaza: Greek Orthodox, Roman Catholic, and a very small Baptist church. The Baptist church was also bombed and the people actually left, but the Greek Orthodox and the Catholic, they went and sought refuge in the church. And actually, when Israel bombed the church the first time, 18 of them were murdered. Actually, 4% of the Christian community in Gaza were murdered by Israeli airstrike in the last 2 years. Many Christians who had foreign passports were able to leave. And so today there are only 600 Christians left in Gaza, which means we know by the end of this decade, Christianity will be extinct in Gaza. There will be no Christians left in Gaza. And this is really terrible because Gaza used to be a major mission hub in Palestine. And you hear now that Israel actually is bombing Gaza. Every tower in Gaza is being bombed. Every tower. I mean, everything that is more than 4-story building is being bombed every day. And the Christian community last week, they said, you are not leaving. If we are killed, we want to be actually to die in the church where we are. And again, when today Israel bombed the Greek Orthodox school, this was actually next to the church. Every day I get on my mobile calls from Christians there who are terrified, you know. They don't know if they will survive. Yesterday I got a message from a young woman there called Samar, and she said, you know, my husband is very sick. But there is no hospitals left because Israel destroyed 33 out of the 36 hospitals. So why do they do that? Because basically they want to make life in Gaza unlivable. That people will have no choice but to leave Gaza. To do what? Because Israel wants actually to control Gaza. There is lots of gas on the shores of Gaza that Israel wants to tap into for themselves. And they want to actually to create a canal from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean to compete with the Suez Canal. So follow the money, right? So this is what is happening in Gaza. So imagine if you have a kid in Gaza who was born 15 years ago. You can see actually that with 2, he would have experienced the first war, and with 4, the second, as a teenager, the third, 15, the fourth, the fifth, and now the genocide. So what will happen to the soul of these young people, you know? And over 50% of the population in Gaza are young children. This is what they experience every day. How are we going to heal, you know, the soul of these children? That's our biggest challenge for the future. But I come to the West Bank. This is where I live. This is where I come from. And the situation there is not much better. It's like a mini Gaza. Now imagine that in the West Bank today, we have over, these are the old figures, 899. Now they are 1,202 checkpoints in the West Bank. So between every village and the other, there is a checkpoint, an Israeli checkpoint. And people have to wait sometimes for hours. This is how it looks like. Bethlehem has 56 checkpoints surrounding our little town of Bethlehem. So every road leading in or out of Bethlehem is controlled by such a gate that Israel controlled by remote control. And you never know when it's open, when it's closed. Like my assistant at the university, her child is 2 children at the American school. That's in Beit Sahur. Now, the American school is just like 2 blocks away from where she lives. But between her home and the school, there is this checkpoint. And you never know in the morning, is it open or not? If it's not open, they have to go like 5 kilometers around to get to the school, though it's just around the corner. And this is what we experience actually every day. And this is a hassle. And, you know, they close these not because of security, just actually to humiliate people, you know. You have these young Israeli soldiers sitting there, you know, having fun with a, you know, girlfriend who's sitting there with them. And they want to have fun. So, you know, they let people wait. Last week, we had a board meeting for our university. And so 2 board members wanted to come from Ramallah to Bethlehem, which is like 20 miles away. They kept them 3 hours at this checkpoint. 3 hours waiting. And so after 3 hours, they said, Mitri, sorry, we need to go back. We cannot wait. So making life, all of this actually are different means to displace people so that people will say, why bother? Let's leave. And this is what Israel wants. So here you can see like Bethlehem, and you have there Tulkarem, which is like 100 miles away. Our students, she wanted her, Anne died. She wanted to go to the funeral. It's 100 miles away from Bethlehem. It took her 9 hours. So when she arrived, the funeral was already over. She couldn't say goodbye to her aunt. You can see the devastation actually that she experienced after that. This is in Bethlehem at our place. You can see the Israeli soldiers actually having a Palestinian young man from the neighboring refugee camp that they took in. So even in the West Bank, here in the States, you hear about the hostages, right? Every day. But do you know there are 11,000 Palestinian hostages in Israeli custody? Nobody talks about them. Because a Palestinian life is not as worth as a Jewish life. Aren't we all created in the image of God? At least this is what we believe as Christians. But this is, you can see actually this. And so Shadi, one of our MA students, actually was one of those that Israel took hostage, put him in prison without trial. Israel can put Palestinian in the prison for 6 months without trial, and these 6 months can be extended over and over again. He got released actually just 2 weeks ago. So now he's enrolled again at our university. And Shams, a young Palestinian also from our university, she lives actually inside Israel, so she's an Israeli citizen. And in November 23, when this picture was taken, while she was taking online class on Zoom, the Israeli soldiers came and imprisoned her and her sister for what? For a post on social media. And you can imagine the financial situation with all of that, especially in Bethlehem. The workers who used to work in Israel cannot anymore work there, so they are unemployed. And Bethlehem lives on tourism. 70% of our actual economy is tourism-based. And so imagine for 2 years, all the hotels are closed, all restaurants are closed, all souvenir shops are closed. And on top of that, those working in the government, they did not actually receive full salaries since 40 months. So you can imagine how dire the situation is. So we see that actually we have a drop in registration this year because people don't have even funds anymore to send their kids to the university, though we actually provide lots of scholarships. But the last thing I would like to focus on in this first part is that what is hurting the most is to see how Israeli politicians are weaponizing the Bible against us. And not only Israeli politicians, you have many crazy preachers in this country, we call them Christian Zionists, who do the same thing. They actually transform the good news into bad news. And they transform the Bible, which is actually a message of peace, into a message of genocide. And this is not the Bible that we read, right? And so here a quotation, just one quotation. I can have hundreds of quotations by Israeli politicians and even Jewish rabbis saying the same thing, and Christian. In fact, our board chair of the al-Kalima this morning sent me a video by a crazy American evangelist. I don't know the name. He told me, do you know him? Who was saying, what you see, the genocide in Gaza, this is God's work, and Israel is just doing God's work. So this is a genocidal theology that is so dangerous, and we have to be aware of it. So you can see here Benjamin Netanyahu, how he actually quoted 1 Samuel 15, where God is saying, now go and smite Amalek, and Netanyahu saying Palestinians are Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ox. And they think this is exactly what they're doing in Gaza. And it's God asking them to do that. Is this our God? At least not the God that we know, who proclaimed in Bethlehem 2,000 years ago a message of peace, right? So this is why it is important, actually, you know, to make sure that the Bible will continue to be good news, not genocidal weapon. So right now, even, you know, this week at the UN, the majority of the world countries voted for a two-state solution, that Palestinians and Israeli can live together, you know, next to each other as neighbors in two states. 10 countries were against. Now, 7 of them, you will never hear of them because they are small islands somewhere in the Pacific. Who else do you think was against it? Israel and the US, right? It's sad. It's actually sad because, you know, the US have been, you know, preaching about democracy and about freedom and human rights, you know, everything you have in your constitution, right? All these great values are being violated actually by Congress when it comes to Israel. Right now, actually, Mike Rubio is there. And the ambassador of the US in Israel is a former Baptist minister. Sorry for the Baptists here, but I mean, Christian Zionists. It's sad, actually, how to see all these values that, you know, this country was founded on being actually, you know, trashed in Palestine. So, sorry, I know now you feel depressed after listening to me, and usually I don't like to do that, but you need to start with the context. Because if you don't understand this, you will not actually know what we are doing. And so I come now to the more hopeful part. I will not leave you depressed, to leave here depressed, because this is, depressed people cannot change the world. So what is our vision at Dar al-Kalima University? It's John 10:10. You know John 10:10? Where Jesus is saying what? He came that we might have life and have it abundantly, right? And many people think, you know, he was talking about the whole people except the Palestinians. And he was a man of Palestine, so I mean, he will not do that, right? So this is continue to be our vision. And our mission is to educate the next generation of creative leaders in Palestine, and to do that actually through arts and culture as the tool for social transformation. This is why we are there, and this is actually what Bright Stars is supporting us to accomplish. Basically, we want to invest in what is called the creative class. The creative class is actually these young people in any society that have great creative ideas, and they have the ability to transform them into businesses. And so we want to focus on this group of people in Palestine. That's actually our target group. We have had an amazing history. We started actually as a cultural and training center back in '95, very small, just one room, 12 by 12 foot, one table from the 50s, 8 chairs from the 60s, and $327. That was '95. When we started talking that we want to start a university, people saying you are crazy. I mean, no way you can do that. You cannot do that in the States with all what is there. But in Palestine, that's like impossible. I said, Palestine is the land of the impossible, This is actually where everything becomes possible if you have faith. And so we started very small. 2006, we got the accreditation as a 2-year community college. Then 2013, we became a liberal arts college, 4-year. And 2021, we became a full-fledged university, but with this focus on arts, culture, and design. We have 4 colleges. The community college is still going on for 2 years. We have a college for art and cultural management, a college of architecture and design, and the graduate school that we have. We have this year around 520 students. 1/4 are Christians, 3/4 are Muslims. Our numbers have been growing steadily. This year, again, we experience actually a drop because people have no money anymore to pay for tuition, though we keep subsidizing that, but it is. And if you see our outreach, because of the checkpoints, most of the students, they come from the southern part of the West Bank. But we have also from the north students, and we have students from inside Israel. We have students all the way from the Golan Heights, which is all the way up in the north, to the Negev Desert, which is in the south. So, and in Gaza. So we cover actually, this is why we say the only university in all of Palestine, because our students are actually, they come from the whole of historic Palestine. We started, all our programs are unique. You will not find them at other universities. For example, the art therapy program that we have. And imagine with all what's going on in Gaza, how important actually art therapy is for these young kids. Our campus is powered by solar energy. We have like here lots of sun, and it's important actually to make sure that we contribute to the environment. And so over 90% of our actual electricity is generated by solar energy. So you can see on the top of every building, we have these solar panels. And for us, actually, gender justice, equality between male and female is important. So on our board, 50% are female. I have 4 vice presidents, 3 of them are women. In the deans, 50%, staff 49%, and students, 65% of our student body are women. Just maybe to mention few success stories from this last year. We opened the Rami Zahikuri Center or Hub for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. Basically, we don't want our students to sit there waiting for someone to hire them, but we want them to develop ideas, business ideas that they can actually transform into successful businesses. And so this is why what this hub is doing. We were open actually. We were able to open our hospitality educational center, a state-of-the-art building that you can see here. It's a glass dome with 360-degree visibility. From there, you can see the Dead Sea, Jordan, Jerusalem. Amazing, amazing. So you have to come not only for the view, but also for the taste of the food. We have one of the best chefs in all of Palestine. Some of you know what I'm talking about because they have tasted Basim's culinary. And if you come, you can actually have a class in Palestinian cuisine. You can see here, this is a group from the US who visited us last year, and they got this. So if you want to learn Palestinian cooking, you can do that in Bethlehem one afternoon. As I said, we had a training center in Gaza until a year ago, and this is how it used to look like from outside. And this is the life from inside before October 7th. So the woman that you see up there in the top right, Rana, she is the director of our campus in Gaza. As I said, she was able to get out of Gaza. Now she lives in France, but she still directs our whole work actually from France. An amazing, amazing Gazan, strong, creative artist. And so every month, you can see here in the picture, in the lower picture, we had art exhibitions. It was a place full of life. And then you can see our students there and up the workshops that we were doing for kids in art therapy. We still have over 2,000 students from Gaza actually enrolled with us online. Unfortunately, not all of them right now have access to the internet. So around 600 of them right now are taking classes with us online. And they want to finish their degrees. Even they are all displaced. You know, they live in camps, as you can see, but they are eager to learn. As I said, we have 36 staff in Gaza. You can see they are now displaced over 7 counties. They have been reaching to over 20,000 kids through art therapy program. I love what they do. They keep being created. You can see here they send the kids to get some of this rubble and bricks, broken bricks, and to build small homes. You know, Israel is using a destruction as the tool. We want to encourage construction, constructive thinking, not destructive thinking. You know, Israel is investing in war machine. That's their main, actually, economy. We want to invest in a culture of peace, justice, and equality. I love this project. You know, as I said, our staff are displaced. They are displaced in refugee camps, in tents, and at night, you know, it's very dark. So one of the projects they did with the kids, you can see here, is, you know, they don't have lots of material. Like here, you cannot go to a shop and say, you know, we would like to have colors and this and that. So what do they have? They have these empty cans that they use. And so they open it from both sides. And then they have a paper. They do paper cut. So here on the left, it says Gaza in Arabic. There you have the butterfly. So they do paper cut art, basically. And then with the mobile, they display this on the tent, on the white tent. And so suddenly there is light. And it's amazing, you know, every week they keep upcoming with a creative idea. Every idea is more creative than the previous one. As I said, art and music therapy is very important. We actually published 2 months ago the first book in music therapy in Arabic with QR codes. So you can, you know, scan the QR code and it will take you to, if you are depressed because of, you know, your girlfriend left you, okay, you have this song you can listen to. It will give you some relief. Okay, I know many of you now wants to get that, so at least, yeah. So this is in Arabic. Right now we are working on an English edition. But you know, we started the first restoration lab in the entire Middle East to restore ancient icons, but also paintings, because there is no one in Palestine who is specialized in this. It wasn't easy to establish this lab because it needs many chemicals, and Israel actually was forbidding us from getting these chemicals. It took us months to get them. And we graduated the first group of restorer. And they started restoring the icons of the Greek Orthodox Church next door in Beit Jala. We started with icons from the 20th century, back down to the 19th century, and so on. So the more experience they get, the more they can go and restore the old painting. The fascinating thing is that if you look at our this class, over 80% are Muslims, but they are restoring the Greek Orthodox Church. So it's amazing. I mean, just to think of this, you know, interfaith aspect of this project, it just... Gaza has lots of creative people. You don't hear this about Gaza. And so this is the book will come out next month. It's called Lilies of Gaza. And it talks about 22 of our female artists in Gaza. Each one of them, there is a small bio. There is a reflection about life in the context of genocide. And there is a painting that they send us on their mobile. We have that in Arabic already. It came out last month, and we are going to launch it actually in 2 weeks. You cannot imagine, you know, these female artists in Gaza. They were so excited to have this book out. And every day they were calling my colleague saying, when is the book coming out? Because we might not be alive tomorrow. Before we die, we would like to see a book with our name on it. And so actually the whole income of this, of the sales of this book will go to the female artist in Gaza. I like to write books because I'm, beside being the president of a university, I'm a theologian at heart. And so I like to write books. And so these are like 4 of my last book. Theology After Gaza is the latest book that you can find there. Came out just two weeks ago here in the States. Tear Down These Walls is another book that came out a month ago, also here in the States. And Decolonizing Palestine is a book that came out just 1 week before October 7th. And that book is also here. I encourage you, if you want to learn more, especially about theology, these 4 books are important. So again, an urgent call for a theology after Gaza. You know, after seeing all of this, how the Bible being weaponized against our people, we wanted to make sure that actually we have the right hermeneutic, the right understanding, the right approach to the Bible and to the scripture, so that it continue to be good news. We established several regional network for artists, a regional network for theologians from all churches, and so on. International conferences, we continue actually to do this conference we had in Bethlehem. Some of you here were there. It ended on October 5th, 23. Our friends like here, Andrew and Linda and Ed, they left. And after that, 2 days later, October 7th happened. And but we wanted really to make Bethlehem a hub for international conferences. Just maybe the last few, Varsen used to be the vice president for strategy at al-Kalima. She's an Armenian Christian. She is now our Secretary of State of Palestine. Again, you can see how actually our university is playing a role even beyond that. Mu'tasim Adile is a professor in music, and he received this the most prestigious music research award, actually, in the entire Middle East. We have many filmmakers who are really very well known. Mar Mama is one film produced by Majdi and won several awards. It's a short film, and actually you can order it through, you see, MAD. This is the distribution company now in the US. You can order it through MAD. This film, amazing. Rahab Nazal, actually, she won this week the 16th award for this film called Vibration from Gaza. And what she did, actually, she was able to visit Gaza before October 7th, and she filmed deaf students, children, actually, deaf children, and how they deal with these Israeli drones that keep 24/7, you know, saying zzz, you know, and how they relate to that. There aren't lots of dialogue in the film, but it's an amazing film. Again, you can also watch it. Our students, actually film students, made it all the way to Cannes Film Festival. Here, like you see Wissam. Actually, he's from the refugee camp, the Hisha refugee camp, the largest refugee camp in Bethlehem. He came, did his film studies, and was able actually to win the 3rd award in Cannes Film Festival. So from the refugee camp to the red carpet, this is what Dar al-Kalima is all about. Thank you very much. One question.
Thank you, Mitri, so much. I'm going to try, and we've gotten a number of questions. I'm going to try to bubble them down to one simple question. What is being shared in sermons and messages across Palestine now? And what do you wish would be shared in sermons and messages in churches in the United States?
Wow, this is a very difficult question, because I guess every Sunday we have a new sermon. But I think what is needed right now is for people to hear actually the good news that God is love, God is not hate, that God is peace, God is not war, God is justice, God is not occupation. I think this is the message that is needed, and that peace will not come like riding on a white horse like that, but God is calling every one of us to be peacemakers. You know, we have many peace talkers, and Jesus actually knew exactly how to choose his word when he said, "Blessed are the peace makers, not the peace talkers." And we need actually people to advocate for peace here with your representative, because you know the US has the potential to bring a just peace to the region, and they will not do that unless they feel that your voice count on that. So we need that. Sorry, I have to run.
Yes,
I tell you why, because we have now in Palestine a committee that is working on the constitution of the future state of Palestine. Even if people say this is wishful thinking, we feel we want to draft a constitution of a Palestine that is democratic, that is diverse, that is peaceful, and we have a meeting right now to decide on the form of the government. Is it going to be like more with a president like the States, or more like the French model, or whatever? So I need to be there for that meeting, because this is the most important meeting for that committee. Sorry for that. I will.
I suppose we have a prime example of somebody moving from being a peace talker to a peacemaker. As we have peace talkers in here and he moves to our library to be a peacemaker, I hope that inspires us all to follow in his words and be peacemakers. We've had such a beautiful opportunity to learn more from Mitri, to understand the depth of difficulty and conflict that his people are facing, and also start to point towards the hope that is being brought into the region. And so I believe that we're going to be able to show a bit of a video that Mitri brought for us to share about some of the hope and peace that they are working on. So let's take a look at that and then we'll close.
Palestinians, especially young Palestinians, are too smart, and the country is too small. And we have huge unemployment in the country. Some, with their great talent, are here being given the chance to monetize their knowledge, to earn their own living, and eventually to employ people. We are here at Rami Zahi Khoury's hub, a unique hub in Palestine. It's so exciting because it gives me great hope. It energizes me greatly. And also, I hope so that they can work freely and, above all, creatively.
Art therapy comes as a tool to express the unexpressed, but in ways that are nonverbal. So let's say you have a PTSD, and usually PTSD states cannot be easily described in words. So you are stuck in your feelings. But art and music therapy comes as an alternative where you can express these thoughts or these emotions without actually saying them, but maybe drawing them or playing them on the piano or on another instrument. So it's a non-verbal way to escape from these negative states. The combination of virtual reality and music to reduce anxiety. Other students are working on different types of drama therapy. Another student is working on mandala, combining mandala and music therapy to reduce specific depression.
I teach 3D design and I focus on growing character in students and in fashion design as well. I'm studying MA, Masters, also at Duncan University in art therapy. Practicing the art therapy at the university while teaching, the warring has also affected us. Students have a lot of effect on their psychological well-being. As teaching, we need to focus on them to be healed, or at least to make them have a nice journey and relax during these difficult situations. The university gives the student a chance to express themselves, their character, their personality, to be creative without any boundaries.
Tourism in Bethlehem is the major field because about 70% of the economy in Bethlehem depends on tourism. The al-Kalima is focusing on art and culture. So culture is very important. We have to focus on the culture tourism. And the culinary art is one of the activities of the major product for the culture. Last semester, we started in a project which is culinary tourism. We train them how to develop a tourism product through the culinary art, through farming, cooking, and learning about traditional meals that could be served to foreigners or any tourists.
Well, the new hospitality center gives me a lot of opportunities when it comes to customer service, learning new recipes, whether it was Western or Eastern. One of the other things that I find good, which is my skills, being able to tell which herb is this and that by the smell or the taste.
Young Palestinians can be vibrant shapers in the art and culture fields if given the supportive track to success for artists and students. We see a future through this university.
I'm proud and happy to be associated with al-Kalima, and proud and not proud, but more grateful to the board of Bright Stars for what they have done so far. You are good and committed people. There is still some humanity left in humanity. And I always like to repeat, the diamonds are made under pressure. And we have a mine of diamonds in this little country called Palestine.
Many of you have been near to Mitri before and have heard him say, hope is what we do. And as we watch that video, I certainly think that we can see hope is something that we do. We are not just peace talkers, but we are peacemakers. So thank you for being in this space. I know that right now we're engaging in talking about peace. And I hope that as we gather outside and we gather around tables, that we can start to consider what it would look like for us to be peacemakers, that we can be with people who share different faith traditions, share different church homes or different spaces. We can begin to have those conversations and start working towards peace. So I invite you to gather outside in the courtyard. We have some light refreshments, and we have 3 of Mitri's books for sale: Faith in the Face of Empire, Decolonizing Palestine, and Theology After Gaza. And you can purchase those books and begin conversations in your own communities, and especially, I hope, in this community. Thank you all for being here.